Welcome to James Hates Everything and to another Thursday night live stream. And today we are talking everything Switch as we are 1 week away from the Switch 2 launch. Of course, the first big console to be released in many years. Of course, you had PS5 and Xbox release, but that happened during COVID. So this is the first one we've gotten an opportunity in almost 8 years to go and do a midnight release, a big launch event. So it's going to be a fun one, and we're going to talk all about it in just a moment. All right, how is everybody doing tonight? And before we get into the main event for tonight's stream, which is my top 10 Switch games, and these are going to be a bit different. I think you'll see a few first party games, but for the most part, I wanted to focus on the hidden gems, the titles that I really enjoyed, the no regret purchases, the ones that I am glad I own and I put a lot of time into. So we will talk about those. But let's start by just saying hi to everybody who took the time to drop by tonight. We've got the Be Me, who is all ready to talk. We've got Jason S, who wants to know if you can do live streams with the Switch 2 camera. Well, the Switch 2 camera, to my knowledge, is just a normal 1080p camera connected by USB. So technically, you don't even need to use the Switch 2 camera. You can connect up any 1080p webcam to your Switch 2 and go live with other players. Now, for streaming, I think you're still going to need typical video capture and things like that. So what will be nice is that if you get into big games with other streamers who are streaming and you just join and you have your camera, you can be on their stream alongside them. So I think that's pretty cool, even if the frame rate on the Switch 2 camera is not going to be all that great online. It'll still be fun. Steve Sale, thanks for dropping by. Of course, he is talking about Walkabout Golf and, started playing recently and is already schooling people on how to play Walkabout Golf. We have Brooklyn Menace. He's excited about 1 week away. Of course, Stock Jock is in the house and says he's here for AI trading cards. Well, we'll have to talk about that on another stream. More to come on that front. John Fritz, thanks for dropping by. We have the Cornercade with his patented Let's Effin' Go. J-Rod is in the house. Good evening. My family's here. Thanks for dropping by. Who else we got here? JJ is here. Says, I have pre-ordered the S2. No, but I'm on the Nintendo list to be notified when it's my turn to order. Well, hopefully you get notified. I got my notification a couple weeks ago. Of course, I had already secured my pre-order for Target, so I was good and I didn't need a second one, so I didn't order it. But unfortunately, what I'm hearing today, some people probably should have taken advantage because more on that in a minute. Let's see here. Who else we got? We got B Kirby's in the house. Always nice to see you. What is up? All right, so let's get into the first story. And this is what I was just alluding to a moment ago. And that is the news that is spreading like wildfire today that people who had their pre-orders now just 1 week away are getting notifications that their pre-orders have been canceled. So there's a lot of news really coming from all over Europe and Britain mostly. I imagine some of this is happening here, but of course it's bubbling up on X and other places. But essentially, we have one major retailer over in the UK, Game, which is like another game store like GameStop or EB Games. And they have announced, I don't know how I lost the thing here. Um, but they announced that they didn't get near the stock they thought they were going to get, so they canceled a bunch of pre-orders. They eventually had to make a statement about it because of how many they canceled. So needless to say, those people are rather upset because if they weren't going to get the stock they sold, they feel they should have been told earlier, and rightly so. And MG says, is this the watch party for the latest Sister Wives episode? Indeed it is. Juice Monkey says, pre-order through Walmart with an Apple card, and then I had a fraud on the card, so I'm screwed because Walmart won't let me update the payment. Yes, that is another one. Walmart is really terrible about this. When you pre-order from Walmart, they do not let you change your payment method. And I've been burned by this myself, Juice Monkey. I've had pre-orders on a card that got canceled due to fraud and reissued with a different number, and Walmart would not let you change the order. And it was a pre-order item that was super rare, and I was super pissed. But it's their thing. They even send you emails telling you to go update your payment method, but they provide no way to do it. And when you contact their support won't do it either. So it's super frustrating. And a lot of the posts we're seeing on X are just that. They're people at Walmart that are getting notifications that their order was canceled because the payment method did not complete. And obviously they're frustrated because it went through the pre-authorization process back then. And a lot of people feel like, man, why didn't you just charge me back then and keep the money? And now they're just getting completely screwed, but all hope for them is not lost. So, I saw KFB ask no way which stores. So right now in the US, we're seeing some from Target, some from Walmart, but they're not stock related, they're payment related. Whereas in Europe and UK, it seems to be stock related, at least for the store game. Other ones are, again, I've seen some Europe ones that are payment related that are being reported. But so check your pre-orders, make sure you're all good. I know Walmart processed the payments, at least for mine, and I know several other people 2 days ago. So you should have seen those come on, at least starting that then. And hopefully, Target, I know, will let you update your payment method, where Walmart is a stick in the mud and won't. But hopefully you are seeing those notifications then. If not, check your orders, make sure you're good. But like I said, not all hope is lost. So we'll talk about what you can do. Let's see here. MG says he got his updated payment method check from Best Buy today. That's good. Brooklyn says, when the OLED model came out, I had ordered it through Target, got noticed it was in, drove there, and they said they didn't have any left and canceled my order. Oh, that is frustrating. I can imagine that. And most likely, you wonder if somebody at that store didn't decide they wanted your order instead and then bought it prematurely. I know GameStop has a horrible problem doing that, at least with games and stuff, where I know Steps has been burned in the past, but they take your pre-order, they only take they make you pay like a $5 or $10 upfront payment, and they take the pre-orders and then they basically give you 24 hours to pick it up. And if you don't pick it up in that 24 hours, they'll just sell it to anybody and you're just out of luck. And if you come in and there's no stock left, they only hold them for that small period. I don't know if it's 24, 48 hours. It's totally ridiculous. Right? If you pre-order and prepay, you expect that item to be there when you go pick it up. That's the whole purpose of pre-ordering, is so you can get it at your convenience, not go stand in line waiting for it. Yep. So same stuff that happened with the PS5 30th. Absolutely. But this time, we're coming right up to the delivery time. These stores are all getting their stock. If you haven't seen this week, they're popping up all over the internet and YouTube. Of course, Nintendo is swatting those videos down as fast as they are popping up, but there's been some unboxing videos, there's been some footage of the system booting up and using the UI. So there's some stuff floating out there. But like I said, Nintendo, for some reason, is copyright striking all that stuff, which to me makes no sense because you're not violating any copyright. You don't have any kind of embargo agreement or anything with Nintendo. I don't know how Nintendo has the right to strike down your YouTube content when you have something, even if that something has a street date. That has nothing to do with copyright. That's the problem with the retailer who sold it to said person. But whatever. So let's talk about what you can do uh, if you don't, if your order's canceled or if you didn't get one. There is GameStop. So it's been pretty well publicized that GameStop is getting an inordinate amount of these things. So not only did they have, between 50 to 100 of these at every store during the pre-order, for every one they pre-ordered, they're getting an additional one. And so GameStop managers are reporting there should be plenty of supply, even if you didn't pre-order one, to come in on that midnight launch and still be able to get one. And because of that, they're launching their event starting at 3 p.m. local time on the 4th. So the day before, the day before the midnight launch, right? So on that midnight launch day, you can come in. And so the 3 p.m. event is not so you can, if you don't have one, buy one. It's for the people that did pre-order one. GameStop only made them put $50 down. So the 3 p.m. until 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. Central, it's for the people that did pre-order to go in and pay the rest of their balance. It's for the people, those same people, if they want to do trade-ins, you can come in and do the trade-ins so that when the clock hits at 11, they're not stuck processing your payment. You can ensure yours is there ready to go for pickup right at that 11 p.m., 12 a.m. time frame. So they are recommending you show up, wait sometime after 3 in the afternoon, and start just pay for it, get your trade-ins done, get everything taken care of. And then for those that didn't get their pre-order in, of course, come 11 p.m., 12 a.m. Eastern, you will be able to make the purchase. So pretty decent deal, probably a good place to go if you missed the pre-order and you still want one. I don't know too many people that missed the pre-order, quite frankly. I'm hearing people that have 2 or 3 of these pre-ordered. So there was already ample stock for this system. So I don't know how many people are going to be missing out or waited till the midnight launch to purchase it. But certainly for those folks that had ordering issues, had payment issues, hopefully your local GameStop is a good spot to go pick that up. So I just wanted to share that. That's kind of the big thing as you're prepping for next week, to be on the lookout. Looks like Michael B dropped by. Thanks for joining us. He says, I'm excited to convince myself I need to play Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Wind Waker again. Indeed. And now you get to play at least Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with your mobile phone app, so you can use that map. My family says many people don't know this, but MG runs a dairy goat farm. He absolutely does. He loves to milk the goats. He's trading in Claire Obscura 33 to get the extra 40%. Excuse me, $12 whole dollars towards the Switch. What a deal, MG! What a deal. Breath of the Wild. No, I believe I said Breath of the Wild, or maybe I didn't, because everybody's saying that. Completely different game. So let's just get into the top 10 here, and we'll bring this up. So this first one is kind of more mainstream. It's not necessary. What does check the classification mean? Whatever. Not necessarily a huge game. Like, I'm not a big Pokemon fan by any means, but this game really, I think, changed the genre of Pokemon. It's what people kind of really wanted it to be. So they elevated that old turn-based RPG, the Game Boy style game, and made it much more action-based. So as you moved around the terrain, you could actually see the Pokemon in the wild. You could throw your Pokeballs at them and catch them right there. So it became a much more interactive, exciting adventure. And quite frankly, it's one of the only Pokemon games I've ever actually played all the way through, because of how the gameplay mechanics changed. Obviously, I'm not a huge Pokemon fan. I don't know. It's an interesting RPG, but it's always felt a little, obviously targeted for younger kids. But this is a good alternative. If you want to jump into Pokemon, this is probably the best one on the Switch that they've released. It's the most polished. It's the one that has, I think, the least amount of bugs and issues with it. A lot of the other ones are notorious for having problems and not being basically of the quality of some of the older games. So this is my number 10. It's, down the list for me, but again, it was a fun one, well worth the play. And so it makes my top 10 just simply because of the fact that it is a Pokemon game that is elevated the experience beyond what we all historically know. All right. So the next one in my top 10, so number 9, this is actually a really fun one. This is one that I discovered through another YouTuber, and it pulls on every genre string or nostalgia string. It's a platformer, and it's a platformer that, my childhood, and that's sitting in your room late at night playing the NES. And of course, I'm talking about Rad Rogers. And if you guys have not played this game, the point is you're like this 10-year-old kid who gets sucked into this dream world, and you and your NES have to go through this platforming gaming adventure, fighting off all the enemies of different video games that you played and taking on your villains like your school teacher and all kinds of stuff. It is a lot of fun. It has a variety of characters in it, including people like Duke Nukem, like you see here. So this is, one of these ones that I don't think a lot of people know about, but this is a great one. It's a blast. So I highly recommend checking out Rad Rogers. It is not an easy game. It's elevated a little bit from a typical platformer. So, you see, you got shooting, you got your different weapons, you can do multiplayer at the same time. It's got loads of mini games. There's a bunch of stuff going on in Rad Rogers, and I definitely recommend checking it out. And the reason I'm kind of doing this show is there's not a ton of day one launch games for Switch 2, right? A lot of them are, uh, the main one obviously is going to be your Mario Kart World. But beyond that, it's a lot of games that were on other systems and that have just been ported over, or it's upgrades to other Switch 1 games. And so all these games give you something, hopefully, that maybe you haven't experienced that you can use. They're backwards compatible on the Switch 2. So fun ones that maybe you haven't gotten to play before that can help take advantage of your Switch 2 while you're waiting for some of the other games to come out, of course, like Donkey Kong. And, as we get into the Metroid Prime 4 and some of these other games that are coming later this year. Fat Hog says Target and Wally canceled a few today from the sounds of it. Indeed, we just talked about that, Fat Hog. So yeah, very interesting. And Mike Hockhurt says we got to get our collector coins. Absolutely. Um, so the next up, so that was number 9, right? Number 8, again, since we're on that retro kick, we might as well talk about this collection. And this isn't just one game, it's 6. And when this originally came out, it was in very limited supply. And so the price shot up almost immediately. But thankfully, last year they re released more copies of this. And of course, we're talking about the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster collection, which has Final Fantasy 1 through 6 on the Switch. So if you haven't experienced these, it's a great time to jump into the franchise, especially as they're looking to Square really go through and do a lot of these 2D HD remakes, and we're going straight into Yo Retro apparently. If you guys haven't watched Yo Retro, they're right before this show, so make sure you check them out over on Chaotic and Half a Dozen's channel. But yeah, so Final Fantasy Pixel Master Collection is awesome. Definitely recommend checking that one out. All 6 games on that cartridge. So loads and loads, hours and hours and hours of gameplay. Next up is another platformer. And of course, this is a first party platformer. But it's, in my opinion, head and shoulders above all the other ones that Nintendo released throughout the life of the Nintendo Switch. And that is, of course, Mario Wonder. So they took that, of course, 2D format that us old guys love about Mario Brothers, and they really upped it with a lot of new functionality, a lot of new interesting gameplay, really playing heavily on this imagination type experience. And you go into all these different world styles, like it just plays completely different. So you have your traditional kind of Mario, and then you'll switch in parts to the Wonder Mario, where you're just playing these levels in a completely different way. As you see here, as Mario switches over, and now things are going a little crazy and weird. There's a lot of new characters, like you can be an elephant and a bunch of different things. But again, a lot of fun, a lot of challenge. Not too much challenge. It's like your typical Mario. But I've always preferred these 2D Marios over the 3D open world stuff like Mario Odyssey. And so this one for me was by far the best one that is on the Switch. Of course, there's other like kind of the 2D, 3D ones like Mario U, Super Mario U, and all that stuff. Those are great, but to me, those are Wii U games, not Switch games. And so this one is my favorite Mario on the Switch. And if you're going to play a platformer, this is the one to play. Brooklyn says he still never played this. Definitely recommend doing it. It's a lot of fun. The way they implemented online play is a little weird, though. You can see other players and they can kind of help you, but not really. They can do things like put stickers down, and those stickers allow you to serve as like a checkpoint in case you die. So that helps a little, on some of the harder levels, I guess. But it's not a traditional like you can play with the people online. You can play multiplayer in person all at the same time. But when you get to online, it's a miss. And so that's the one negative of this game, was how poor that implementation for online was. But still, the game itself is so good. Definitely recommend checking this one out if you have not already. And of course, that one's going to be have all the 4K upgrades and everything else because it's the first party game. MG says he played for 2 minutes. Uh, my family says he hasn't beat it yet. Um, Mike says he loved and played through Odyssey, but always prefer 2D. Yeah, I played Odyssey and I don't dislike Odyssey, but I never finished Odyssey. I got bored with it. The hat concept is a little weird for me. It's definitely talk about one that has challenges with two-player playing as the hat. That's weird, but it's still a good game. But yeah, so Mario Wonder, very colorful, very imaginative. I love that one. So this next one, love this next one. So um, if you have not played this, I definitely recommend doing it. You can probably pick this up on Amazon, but you can usually pick it up at most major retro gaming conventions. And if you are a hockey fan, this game is one you've got to own, especially if you are a Blades of Steel hockey fan. This is another modern retro game, and we are talking about Super Blood Hockey. So it definitely takes that Blades of Steel vibe, cranks up the blood, cranks up the violence, and it's not just that kind of retro style hockey game. It's got all kinds of game modes, so you can play franchises. You can, you see here they're practicing, they're working out, they're doing all these things. Lots and lots of blood, and it's still a great arcadey hockey game. So definitely recommend, if you're a fan of Blades of Steel, checking this one out. It's got everything you could want from a violent hockey game. It's from Premium Edition Games, who makes a bunch of indie games. They release them all physically. I'm sure you could download this. All these games, I'm sure, are available as download purchases. But all of these I own physical. I believe in physical first, and by all means. And this one is awesome. MG says, so this is a top 10 Switch games, not Switch 2 games. Yeah, because I haven't played any Switch 2 games yet, MG, right? There's not even 10 Switch 2 native games coming out yet. So can't really grade them. And these are the Switch games that you may have missed that you can play on the Switch 2 while you're waiting for the rest of the Switch 2 games to actually come out. So this is all getting ready for the Switch 2. And does it crank up the drug use? It absolutely does. There's some fun surprises in this game. And I don't know if the Cornercade can't read, but it clearly says top 10 Switch games. But on the thumbnail in the video. So there you go. So yeah, and Brooklyn says Premium Edition makes fantastic physical games, and they do. And this is definitely one of them. Highly recommend checking it out. There will be 24 native games available on Switch 2 at launch. No, there's two that I'm aware of. There is Mario Kart World, and then there is that FM Racer game, which is only available as a download. All those other games are Switch 2 games, but they're re-releases of Switch 1 with extra content, and most have been re-released on re-releases from other systems. So not exactly native Switch 2 games. All right, how many? We're in our top 5. So the next one is, I think, probably in most people's top 10, if you've played this, it's the first brawler beat 'em up on the list, and it is a continuation of a classic Genesis franchise. Of course, we are talking about Streets of Rage 4. And this one is, again, another great game. Tons of characters to choose from this, way more than your prior Streets of Rage games. of course, updated with that cell shaded art. And this is, of course, a .emu game, which is like, because of this and other brawlers, is like the king of beat 'em ups right now. And if you haven't played Streets of Rage 4, you got to check this one out because it has everything a good beat 'em up should have. And of course, it's the classic Streets of Rage franchise. Um, And JJ says, how many third-party titles on the Switch 2? I'm planning on getting Cyberpunk, but didn't know the total. So there's a ton of third-party titles. You got everything from Yakuza 0, Remastered, Sonic Generations. You've got Bravely Default. All these are on other systems. You've got, man, there's so many. There's a ton of some of these odd little indie ones that, I wouldn't even know of. But Sega's got a whole ton. You've got, of course, you mentioned Cyberpunk. Trying to think of what are some of the other ones off the top of my head. I'm blanking out right now. Upgraded games are not not native. All they are is, most of those are just add-on packs with better textures. They're still the same games. So native to me means one that is originally on the system, like an exclusive native game. And but all right. So I don't know what the little orchestra was about, but so this next one, again, another beat 'em up. And this one's probably more of a hack and slash than a brawler, but it's considered a brawler. And this one is awesome. The art style in this one is great. It's a historically based game. And it's one that MG might actually like if he knows this one exists, because it harkens back to his home country. And if you haven't played this one, you need to check it out. We are talking about the violently inappropriate and fun Wolverblade. And it tells the story of, the German barbarians and the Romans coming in to Britannia to take over, and you play the role of the Britannians, and you are hacking and slashing your way through the invaders. And it is gory. It's comical throughout. It's got a lot of challenge. So big boss fights, big, kind of epic battle scenes. It's really cool. If you haven't played this is a big hidden gem. This one is great. It's available in physical from Super Rare. It's been out for a long time, so it's probably pretty hard to find at this point. But obviously, you can download this. But Wolverblade is super awesome. And definitely a great game, and I highly recommend checking it out. Again, another great Switch game that if you're looking to pad your library ahead of the Switch 2, this is a great game to check out. You won't be sorry you played this one. All right, I think we're at number 8. So we're coming down to the last few of these. This one is by far my favorite RPG on the Switch. It's a release from Square Enix. It's one of those 2D HD remasters, and it's probably not the one you're thinking. I'm not talking about Dragon Quest III. I'm talking about a game that was originally released on the Famicom and didn't have a release in the United States until it came out on the Switch. And that is Live Alive. And this game is awesome. And if you are new to RPGs, it's worth picking this one up because it's not difficult to figure out. It is a turn-based RPG, but it takes what is essentially 9 separate stories to create an overall epic story. And so it's a ton of fun. Each Story is fairly small, it's manageable. You could probably get through an individual story in 2 to 3 hours, and it spreads genres from samurais to science fiction to the old west to the dark ages. It spreads out all over time, telling these different epic stories, and then brings them all back together for one big epic conclusion. And it is awesome. It is well done. It's a beautiful looking game. If you're an RPG fan, if you like Final Fantasy, if you like Dragon Quest, you've got to jump on this one if you haven't played it, because it is good. And I just can't say enough about it. This is one of my favorites that came out 3 years ago, I think, at this point. And I know you can get it fairly inexpensive these days. So definitely recommend checking this one out. You won't be sorry. The stories are great, and every I call them chapters. Each chapter story is really good. You can play them in any order. You don't have to do them in any specific way. But definitely check that one out. It's fantastic. Like I said, very affordable game right now, and you will not be sorry. All right. The next one is, I guarantee you, it's on most of your guys' top 10. It's certainly on mine. And in fact, I've told people this many times. It's one I've bought digitally on 2 systems and bought physically 3 times. um, and 3 times all on the Switch system. And that is, of course, Emu's biggest game. I keep leaving the mic, which is, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. And I know you guys have played this. Unless you've been living in a closet, I don't know how you haven't played this. It's so good. And they released more characters. Some they gave you free. You got characters for beating the game, like Casey Jones. They released 2 DLCs over the couple years that it's been out. It has full online play. It doesn't get beat 'em ups, even Turtles beat 'em ups, any better than Shredder's Revenge. I know you guys know this. Jason says he's never played Shredder's Revenge. Well, you are missing out. Even if you're not a Turtles fan, this is an absolutely fantastic beat 'em up. It has both a campaign and arcade mode, and you can actually level up your characters through there. So you don't need to level them up, but the more you level them up, the more stuff you are able to do with them. It's just a ton of fun. It gives you lots of bragging rights. Love Shredder's Revenge. So definitely, if you don't have this one, if you haven't played this one, you got to get this one. The last physical edition of this I bought, hopefully will ship soon. It's the full up complete edition. There's that orchestra stuff again. The complete edition has, of course, and I got the collector's version. It has all the DLCs on the disc. It has all the characters on the disc, so you get everything. But the collector's edition comes with the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Playmates figures, like old school 90s era Playmates figures, but they are colored and cell shaded like the Shredder's Revenge Turtles. So they look super cool. They're all blister packed, just like the original figures. So not only do you get a great game with all the content, but you get all these exclusive action figures that you can't buy anywhere else. So for me, I had to buy it, had to add them to the collection, and hopefully it'll ship soon, because I think I bought those like 2 years ago. So talking about people who don't ship their pre-orders and don't give you any news, limited run is one of the worst, one of the absolute worst. And so, forgive me for not being offended that a company who sends us a message once a month isn't being as forthright as we want, when I'm used to these companies like Polymega and Limited Run who don't tell you anything, or Analog. Like, how long have we been waiting for the Analog 3D at this point? It's getting ridiculous. Anyway, so the last one, my top 10 game, number one, by far. It's a first party game, not going to surprise anybody. So I'm interested in knowing what your guys's top 10 are, what your favorite Switch games are, especially if you have a Switch game that is a hidden gem, one you don't think other people have played or don't really know about. Love to hear about those. Those are the good ones, right? You end up finding these indie games, these other ones that are just off to the fringe that end up being really good. You know, Sea of Stars is a great one. Of course, that's available on many different systems, but there's a ton of these that are just great, that are just right on the bubble of greatness, that are fun to share. Of course, yeah, Mario Kart. So this is not Mario Kart. Um, Mario Kart, what is it? Mario Kart 9, 10, whatever the one is on the Switch. Great game. Absolutely fantastic game. And I purposely left it off because to me it's a Wii U game. So it's still on the Switch, but and it's a great game, but it's not in my top 10. I like playing it, not a top 10 game. This game that I'm about to show is by far my favorite Switch game. It is the only game since the original was released clear back in the early 80s of this franchise that captured for me the original wonder, the original exploration of the original. The original game, I spent hours and hours, weeks, months playing over and over, going every inch of every map and every stage, looking for secrets, exploring what could we find, what is out there. I'm dropping bombs on every wall. I'm burning every bush. I'm pushing every stone, looking for every secret. And of course, we've got a few people that nailed it here, right? We're talking about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And yes, it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it uses the same engine as Breath of the Wild, but they accomplished something with Tears of the Kingdom that I don't think any Zelda has accomplished since that first game, and that is that sense of wonder. Not only did they take Breath of the Wild and like shoot it to 10 by adding a full sky level, a full underworld level. So it's basically 3 times the size of Breath of the Wild in terms of areas to explore, which was amazing, right? They gave you lots more to explore. You got dungeons again, which we didn't get in Breath of the Wild. Instead, you got those other like, I don't know, animal robot things. But they brought back a lot of those original elements. But it was the incorporation of the building mechanics that made this game so interesting. It made it fun to explore because you could come up with any kind of contraption you could possibly imagine. Want to float as high as you possibly can? You can build hot air balloons. Want to fly across the map? You're building airplanes and jets and bombers. You're dropping bombs from the sky on enemies below. You want to build a tank? You could build a tank. You wanted to build a robot and walk through the middle of Hyrule, smashing stuff and killing creatures. You could. You want to create catapults and launch Kuroks off of cliffs. You want to, I just make drag racers, cars. You wanted to make anything you could possibly imagine. It allowed you to do. And the only limitation was your imagination and the creativity that people came up with of combining the mechanics of this game, like the build features of this game, with the weapons and the other items, and being able to use them together to make all different kinds of crazy objects was just so much fun. And some of the best YouTube videos that you can still find to this day are people making things that are just bonkers crazy and making videos and showing them. And you can see a variety of them just in this ad from Nintendo about all the stuff. But it was, for me, like, I went over every inch of this map, in the sky, in the ground, looking for every hidden cosmetic, every hidden object, trying to knock off, get all the Koroks, get all the hidden things you could possibly find. And I haven't been motivated to do that in a Zelda game in a long time. And it was, since the original, really. And it was this game that really, for me, recaptured the feeling that I got in my favorite game of all time. So for me to say this is my number one Switch game, like, this is probably my number one game uh in the last 10 years, just because of how imaginative it is, how creative it is. I can't even, it's not just the wonder to me, it's the awe of the developers of this game that, man, it's been 2 years since this game came out now, right? 2 years. But to think of the development feat that it took to bring Tears of the Kingdom to life, to not have it full of bugs and crazy things that can come from this highly versatile construction system, is just, I'm just in awe of the people that worked on this game. It is just crazy to me. And I don't think there's ever been anything like it, and I don't know if anybody will ever be able to accomplish something on the scale that Nintendo did. It's just bonkers. So for me, that it by far is the number one. And apparently a lot of people don't think the same way about it as I do, but I love that game. uh Jason says, tears look damn good though. Yeah, and this is one of those things that, um for me, that, Michael mentioned it, he wants to go back and play it. That this is one that I think is worth going back and playing on the Switch 2, on the upgraded version. Of course, now they give you the ability to have the maps on your phone, which will make it easier to kind of find some of those hidden objects and things. Let you see where you've explored, where you've been. It's really cool because you can, the phone feature allows you to see like your actual travel path and things like that. So there's a lot of cool additions to the game that will make it interesting. Unfortunately, like I said, I've played it so much that I don't know that I have anything left to explore on it. But it'll certainly be interesting to jump into it, because again, if you already own this game and you have Nintendo Switch Online, the upgrade to the Switch 2 version is free. Uh, if not, if you don't have Nintendo Switch Online, I think it's $10 or something. Of course, the physical Switch 2 version is $80. I don't know that I would recommend going and buying that, because you could get the Switch 1 for much less and have the same game. So, but it is definitely worth checking out. Of course, Breath of the Wild is good, but for me, it's not anywhere near as good as Tears of the Kingdom. It's a great Zelda. It's a fun one, but it's much slower, much less creative. They did a lot of things different, but it's a fun game. So, Breath of the Wild is definitely good, but to me, Tears of the Kingdom is off the charts. Um, Thor says, I'm not into Zelda games, but Mrs. Thor is. I do have to admit they are brilliant with gorgeous graphics, so I don't mind when she asked me to help her. Looking forward to seeing it on the 2. Me too. Me too. What did Carl O clip? Can't play Zelda anymore after the wife passed away 4 years ago. Breath of the Wild was her go-to, and she must have spent 100 hours playing it. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but glad she enjoyed it so much, because it is such a great game. Yep, you can make and ride a motorcycle. You can, one of the easiest things to do is take the little propeller and a little steering column, and you have this single person craft that you can get around the map very quickly that lasts a while. So that's awesome. MG says, "We just saw." I don't know what you just saw. Um, I did not. But you can ride a motorcycle and shoot zombies. Absolutely. Um, Chaotic says he'd love to play Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch too, but I need my Metroid Prime first. See, that's another great, the Metroid Prime Remastered, another great Switch One game that didn't quite make the list, but it's a really good version. Um, I've never, I'm a, I like Metroid. Metroid Dread is awesome. But again, I like the 2D Metroid, and Metroid Prime has never really um, scratched that itch for me. It's not Metroid. It's not a first person shooter. It's tried to be in the middle. It's good. It's just not great, in my opinion. And Jason says, or Jason gifted 5 memberships. So thank you. And get an opportunity to actually use one of these that I haven't done in a long time. And of course, that's so thank you, Jason, for the gifting the 5 memberships. I truly appreciate it. And hopefully whoever got them also appreciates it. And I will tell you right now, one of the things I am planning on doing for membership people, excuse me, going forward is to do a series of live streams with AI stuff. So rather than doing a bunch of how to AI videos on the channel publicly for the people that are actually interested in it, I will do a bunch of AI tutorials, live creations, things like that, as members only videos. So not everybody has to see them that doesn't want to. But I've got some ideas in the works on some few different shows, and I'm hoping to do the first one on Saturday. So we'll do a live members only AI stream on Saturday. MG wants a refund for his 99 cents. Um, but appreciate it, MG. Uh, um, so again, appreciate it. Everybody, I'm really interested in hearing what everybody else's favorite Switch games are, and what is the games you're actually looking forward to most on the Switch too. I know Chaotic mentioned Metroid Prime 4 at some unannounced date in at the end of the year. And we do have an upcoming Nintendo Direct, so maybe they'll actually give us a date here later this June. For me, I think the Switch 2 game I'm probably most looking forward to of what we know is probably Mario Kart World. I think it's going to be awesome. I love the community aspect of it. I think we're gonna all going to play a crap ton. But I really miss that there wasn't a new Mario announced, though we did just get Wonder not too long ago, so I'm not super shocked by that. Smash Brothers is long in the tooth. I would have hoped they would have announced one of those, so maybe we'll get that. Um, with Mario Wonder being so new, I don't see a new Mario game coming for a while, but I would hope we get a Smash Brothers soon. They're leaning heavy into this online play, right? Like that's the big thing with the Switch 2 is all the online features and functions and the new controllers. And I would imagine, you know, Mario World makes total sense as a launch title when that's what your focus is. And for this year, I would think they want to lean in heavily into that. And so maybe they sneak in a Smash Brothers announcement. That would be super cool. We'll just have to wait and see. 3-on-3 soccer game coming to Game Pass. Well, that sounds like an Xbox thing. Yeah, Geo, if you guys haven't seen this, he shared it in one of the discords today. I think it was Arcades Anonymous, not sure. He says he fully coded his own Pac-Man skin for his favorite game engine Stepmania. Uploaded a video of that. It's actually he did a really good job. It's actually super cool using all the Pac-Man sound effects and graphics for a rhythm game. It's really neat. So check that out for sure. Oh yeah, so Honestly, Jason, that is probably one of the things I'm most interested in is the GameCube uh, on Nintendo Switch Online. One, I can't wait to see it actually work and hopefully work well. um, but the fact that it's going to be HD upscaled and all that means a lot of these games that haven't had an HD remaster yet that came out on the GameCube. Hopefully, they make it their way into the online catalog. Would love to see a lot of those. I mean, can you imagine being able to play that GameCube Smash Brothers, which is like the one everybody plays in competitions and things like that, online finally with HD graphics and stuff? That'll be super cool. Um, Lots of fun stuff like that should be coming out on GameCube. There's so many things that they just haven't tapped into yet. Uh Thumper Squid, thanks for dropping by. And yep, we need everyone's Switch friend code. That's absolutely right. So I'm sure we'll be this channel, lots of other channels will all be diving into that and going crazy. So you probably have streams going all day long all over the internet starting June 5th of you know, probably 12:01 June 5th. People are going to start going live playing Mario Kart World, but the I think the other one, that racer, and I can't think of the name of it. It's only available on a DLC. I think that one's going to be really good. It's kind of like it's not really F-Zero, but it's in that kind of a vein, that really fast racer. May be pretty interesting. Um, Obviously, I want to take Cyberpunk for a drive. Like, bought it when it first came out on the PC. It was so buggy, I lost interest immediately and never picked it back up. Now that it's fixed, the DLC is good. So I'm excited to see it arrive on the Switch and hopefully function correctly and have all that good content and working. So I'm fired up about that. And so tonight, we just wanted to talk all things Switch. Get excited as we look forward to Switch 2. And before we go, it looks like 40% of you, 39% uh, have pre-ordered the Switch 2, 60% did not. So I hope the 60% that did not maybe have the Switch 1 and you found a couple new titles you can take advantage of in our top 10 list. But it was fun putting together. Been thinking about doing it for a while. And now that we're about to move into the world of Switch 2, I guess the week before the Switch kind of goes away for a lot of us, it was the better time than, I guess, better late than never, I guess, right? So appreciate everybody being here again. Hopefully next week will be an adventure, and looking forward to all the news coming out. Tariffs got canceled by a court. Already companies are announcing price cuts. So hopefully you guys get some positive news from places like Iconic and At Games that they're going to either lower prices or finally share more information. I saw, I know you guys don't care, but Bamboo, most of you probably don't care. Bamboo Labs already announced an immediate price drop on all of their printers. So everything went back to the original pre-tariff price. Big Bad Toy Store has been sending out announcements discounting all the figures you have on pre-order as a result of the tariffs. So there's a variety of companies that wasted no time at all announcing the return to the original pricing. And so hopefully we get some of that from Nintendo, right? Would love to hear that they're going to put, I know they increased a lot of these things, $5 or $10, $15, depending on what they were on the accessory side of things. Hopefully those go back. I would love to see the amiibos go back to the original price because, $30 and $40 for an amiibo is absurd. So hopefully those go back down so I can actually pick some of those up. So I'm not going to pay those exorbitant prices for them. The big question, right? Will At Games revert the price back on their 4KPs? Hopefully, hopefully they'll be able to restock some of these tables people have been wanting now. And hopefully reprieve from the tariffs lasts. I imagine the Trump administration has already filed an appeal, but who knows if they're, how politics are. Who knows if they're actually really interested in winning the appeal? They could just be appealing for the sake of saving face, and this provides a convenient way to just back out of the tariffs. Who knows? I guess we'll see over time, but companies are reacting quick, hoping to take advantage, and that'll be nice. Jason mentions the June calendar from At Games. Boy, I really hope when that June calendar drops, there's some Zen tables on it because, as you guys know, we didn't get any Zen tables this month, and for me, that meant no At Games tables, because I've spent enough money on the Magic Pixel ones. I'm not a fan. Not going to keep buying them, but I need some Zen tables, and so hopefully the ones that At Games put on hold come off hold, and we get some more new ones. But man, I really hope that calendar has some Zen tables on it, and I hope they announce that they put the prices back to where they were. But only time will tell. Yep, Jason S. That for me, that's exactly right. Zen or nothing. They'd really have to come out with something pretty banger for me to try to buy another Magic Pixel one, right? I mean, it's now been 6 months since 7 months almost since we bought, at least not we, at least me and a lot of other people bought that rare pack that we still don't have the other two games for. So, like, they're way late. So, they need to finish that stuff up. They need to get on it. They need to get it out there. And I do, Fat Hawk, I do need to join you on VPX standalone. I got sent some codes, but they were gone faster than I could figure out what I was doing, and haven't retried again since then. But I definitely need to jump in on VPX standalone, because VPX is great, and I'd love to actually get more play out of my 4KP. Because not that I don't get a lot of play out of it, but a lot of the great tables that I like on the 4KP are in the Pinball FX VR, and I prefer to play them there. So, being able to get VPX standalone and play more of the tables that I really like playing, like the ones that are never going to come out on At Games or anything else, like you know, uh, when the two really I really play on VPX right now are Iron Maiden, Legacy of the Beast, and Guns N' Roses, the Data East cab. And I'd love to play a lot more because there's so many great tables on there. And I need to play Nightmare on Elm Street on there, all that stuff. So VPX standalone is a must for me. Just finding the time to dig through, get the codes, get into the testing and all that stuff. Uh Meatball says the tariffs on digital products has not been blocked by the courts. Don't expect packs to go back down. Oh, well, since there were no tariffs on digital products, yeah, you can't block something that never existed, I guess. So the digital, they're definitely not going to lower the Magic Pixel prices. That's just a pure price increase. But hopefully the 4KPs go back down so they can sell more of those digital packs. Need to learn what a thumb drive is first, Annie. Indeed. Zen needs to bring the software they devved for Tank Stick VR to the 4KP, and if they sell it as a premium feature, At Games needs to go into survival mode. Well, certainly that would be the biggest gift At Games could ever get is uh would be for Zen to let them use the 4KP as a controller in virtual pinball FX. The question is, does PK see the value in it? Because it turns his very expensive machine into nothing but a controller. It would be a great add-on feature. He'd be nuts if he doesn't see the value, because I see the value, especially with the SSF kit. It would be smart for him to do everything he possibly can to get that going with Zen. But if Zen's not letting him, whatever went on with Star Wars, that's, supposed to be front loaded this year. We never saw that. The last two Zen tables got pulled off the calendar. I don't know if something's going on with Zen. So don't know what that relationship's like right now, but man, that that would make the 4KP a must own for a lot of people, that just enough to push it over the limit. Because not only do you have this great virtual pinball table that you can play all, hundreds of pinball tables on, but now you can use it with your VR to play them in VR and get the haptic feedback and all that fun stuff. That's would be like the ultimate experience, right? So who knows? But it would be wise for At Games to do everything they could because I think it would certainly help shoot up sales and bring bigger visibility to their table. But who knows what the deal is that Zen has with X Arcade? Maybe there's some exclusivity, maybe there's not. Who knows? Cross-platform versions of Zen for Switch 2. Well, I would imagine the Zen Pinball FX for Switch is probably going to work just fine on Switch 2. And who knows, maybe it'll get the 4K upgrade. Right now I see Tank Sticks outselling new 4KPs 30 to 1. Yeah, the Tank Sticks $300, the 4KPs $1,800 or 2,000. So or even over 2,000. So there's little difference there in cost. But certainly seeing a lot of sales on the Tank Stick, that's for sure. Between tariffs and increased prices and less sales comes cash flow problems for At Games. Then you're forced to lay people off. Already happened. Losing licenses aren't far behind. Yep. I hope they don't lose then. At Games would charge to use that feature. Oh, they would. That's again another price grab, right? Talking about the price grabs and things, making it so like you have to pay to use the USB and all that stuff. Just crazy. Do the next arcade interview again. Yes, it would be a very expensive controller. So, but you know, it's a great device, and adding the controller functionality to it would be awesome. All right, well, that's all I got. I'm going to quit yammering and doing the whole Midwest goodbye thing, and we're just going to wrap this thing up. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Thanks always to Jason for keeping everybody in line. Not that you guys need it, but you never know who sneaks in. And until next time, have fun.